Hey guys, this is Colin from Blackjack Apprenticeship, and I am joined once again by my wife, the one and only Grace, also known as Grace the Gorilla. How's it going, Grace?
It's going well once again.
Cool. So we did an episode last week, lockdown under this pandemic, now over 2 months. And we talked a bit about, answered some questions from BJA members and talked about kind of getting into Advantage Play and some of the things we had to work through and talk through and what that was like. And we are back to kind of do part two and answer the rest of the questions, which I must say is no small feat when we've got 6 kids, of which 5 of them were homeschooling under pandemic quarantine. So, but we're here.
We are here.
We're here.
We might be interrupted by children, but we're here.
That's right. That's right. So we're gonna try to do this, and we'll see if we need to pause for kids that need any number of things. But here we go. So what I wanted to do is do a little bit of recap. We got married almost 17 years ago, and I had a friend that introduced me to card counting as an idea. We got married, and I convinced you.
You did.
To take $2,000 of our, I believe, $6,000 savings and try this card counting thing, and it happened to work. But you were, when I started counting cards, you were 20, not even old enough to go in the casinos. What started out as a way to try to, maybe make $10 an hour when I wasn't substitute teaching grew into, within a couple months, making $50 an hour. Within 6 months, I was making $100 to $200 an hour. Grew from there, turned into a team, and you had zero interest in learning how to count cards, correct?
Yeah, I think definitely from the beginning, I thought it wasn't going to be something for me. But I wouldn't say it continued. I mean, obviously, it didn't pan out that I had zero interest.
Well, you ended up having interest in being a guerrilla BP.
I did, yes. I the idea of lone wolf card counting, I wasn't an appeal to me.
I think you were a little intimidated by doing all the parts, the counting, the true count, all that stuff.
I saw the training that you guys did with your team and what you expected, and I thought, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, but then something changed maybe around kid number 2 or 3.
Yeah.
That
anything to get a break and get away.
Yeah, so I want to say it was probably your idea to have these.
Let's just assume it was.
Yeah, we'll assume it was your idea.
Okay.
To do these, basically get the grandparents to watch the kids, fly to Vegas, and do this guerrilla BP thing. I was all for it because running a team, I like to contribute. I like doing a few trips a year and helping the team out and generating EV. But I couldn't play a lot of places in Vegas.
No.
Whereas with you, it was like a fresh start.
Yes.
And we talked about did we talk about your training?
Maybe briefly. I know, like, I used some app.
It was Blackjack Institute, which at the time was Micah Ponte from the MIT team. It was his website, and they had a little basic strategy.
Yeah, so
drill.
I practiced on that, and then I practiced just dealing to myself in our living room on our coffee table, and I did that quite a bit. And then you would deal to me, and that was basically the extent for my training.
Well, we got you to the point where you were flawless at basic strategy, and we had our basically the way a guerrilla BP works, folks. For those who don't know, the idea of a guerrilla BP is you don't have to do the amount of training necessary to train a full card counter. You just have someone that can play perfect basic strategy, that can throw the bets out there according to signals from the controller is what it's called, but the actual card counter that is counting, doing true count conversion, and then controls the guerrilla BP. And then the only other caveat is that the controller has to kind of signal when there was a deviation decision that the BP needed to deviate from basic strategy. From my perspective, this was the hardest card counting I ever did.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think we need to make it clear that this was no easy feat for you.
But it was fun. It was super fun.
There was a lot more thrown in there that you had to be aware of. You had to make sure that I was making the right decisions for every hand.
Well, you knew basic strategy, so I didn't have to worry about that. But yes, if there was a what we call red flag or a deviation hand, I had to either get you to pause or do the deviation decision faster than you could play basic strategy. So some of those are easy. You know, let's say it's a 16 against a 10 and you can't surrender. Like a 3-card 16 against a 10. Well, if it's positive, you stand. If it's negative, you hit. So I could just really quickly say something like, oh, I'd stay. And you knew to
Yeah.
do whatever.
Right.
But other ones, it's like, it might be, soft 19 against a 4. And I had to really quickly figure out, is it true 3 or higher? And then say like, I'd double that.
Yeah.
So I had to do that as well as the betting. And we just came up with really a simple bet spread that made it easier for both of us.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's like I waited for that signal to raise my bets.
That's right.
I was ready.
Yeah, I'll tell people our code words.
No, what if we do this again?
Okay, I won't tell you our code words, but they were simple. They were things that were not odd to say in a casino. And I love that you're not done.
No, I'm not.
Grace the girl is in hibernation, but definitely not retired.
I'm ready to break out of my gorilla cage.
So that's how it worked. So yeah, the training was to get you to be flawless at basic strategy, and like we said last time, we really should have tried this at some
low stakes.
some low stakes, some casino where we could have just figured it out. But instead, nope, went straight to.
Because I do remember the first session or two, or at least probably the first session. My placing a bet, my hands were shaking.
Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, but I think if I would have gotten that out of my system, maybe at lower stakes, it would have been a little bit easier. But
which I recommend to anybody. If someone has a $50,000 bankroll from the get-go, they shouldn't just be playing off a $50,000 bankroll. You need to kind of work your way up to it so that you're not making mistakes at. But we just went for it. I regret it, but it worked out okay. So that's.
I don't regret it.
Yeah. I regret not. I regret
No,
not.
I get what you're saying.
Trying some lower stakes to kind of work out some of the kinks in our system, but we adapted pretty quickly. So the first question SD1 has is he wants to know more about working together as a couple and what that looked like, the challenges and successes.
Hi, SD.
So, I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is we talked a bunch on the last time about being on the same page or communication or whatever, but we were thrilled to drop off a couple toddlers and be grown-ups getting the high roller comps and generating, in the ballpark of $400-500 an hour EV. I was thrilled about that. Yeah. So we were on the same page, but what were you motivated by?
Definitely the comps. Yeah, I don't. It would take a lot of Cirque du Soleil shows for me to get sick of them. I think they're fascinating. And, so I was ready to just grind it and get those comps.
Yeah, and since I was not new to Vegas, I mean, I'd been playing Vegas for 5 years and running a team where we always had someone playing in Vegas. I knew the comps. I knew what our options were. And so, yeah, we want a, meal at the fine dining at Wynn, so we're going to hit that. And we want this show, so we're going to have to play this place. And let's get a room at Bellagio, and so we'll play there. And, got the players' cards. And of course, I was looking at, what are the games? I wanted us playing Stand 17, Double After Split, Late Surrender, Resplit Aces, 6-deck games. Because the BP spotter or controller gorilla BP thing, that's not going to work at Double Deck. Your bets are changing too quickly, and a shoe game is just going to be much, much better. And we had a really good bet spread because we had such a large bankroll as a team. We could get away with these bet spreads that were starting at higher initial bets and racking up those comps, but also still, like I said, generating $400 or $500 an hour. So I'm looking at the games. I'm saying these are the casinos that have these games. We got to be at the, $100 tables and then communicating to you, okay, well, these are the comps. And I feel like we both were on the same page about how hard we wanted to work.
Yeah. I still remember before going on any trips with you, and talking with you while you were on a trip. And it was, I don't even know, like multiple times you saying something along the lines of like, well, I haven't eaten anything today. And it was like, what do you mean you haven't eaten anything? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, just take a break and get a bite somewhere. And then I remember going on it must have been our first trip, and every trip after. It was like, yeah, we'd get something for breakfast, but then it was like 8 o'clock. It'd be like, oh man, we got to eat.
Yeah.
Just going from one place to the next. And I got it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Like, we want to get some EV, and it's easy to forget to eat, which was a foreign concept for me.
Well, especially when it takes, like, even if it's a comped meal, how long is it going to take to get the comp, get, the reservation, get in there, all that stuff. But the challenge is, I don't know, what were the challenge? I mean, it worked really well for the first 3 trips, I want to say. And then the 4th, it was like the last night of our trip. They put us together. We got flyered, clearly.
Yeah. One after another.
Yeah. That's the biggest challenge. I think the other challenge is, communicating at the tables was tough. We had a signal, we had signals for bets. We had a signal to end a session. And there was a signal for you to go to the bathroom, which meant the count sucks. It's time for you to step away from the table for 5 minutes till they shuffle. But there are other times where there's like maybe something nuanced you want to communicate, and it's difficult. You don't want to be talking at the table.
Are you thinking of the story at MGM?
Why don't you tell that story from your perspective?
I don't remember all the details, but I do remember like you got up and left. Or no, you signaled for me to get up from the table, so I got up, go to the bathroom, just walk around a bit, come back, and you were walking away from the table, and you were like on the other side of the pit, and I'm like, what does he do? Colin. And you kind of give me this like wide-eyed look of like, get away, stay.
Well, from my perspective, what happened is I send you to go to the bathroom because the count is negative, and I want, the high roller, the other person at the table, to play through the negative count. And while that's happening, floor supervisor and a security guard come up to me and say, Mr. Jones. And I'd already been backed off from MGM Grand a couple times. But, Mr. Jones, you're not welcome to play here, which was an absolute shock to me because I wasn't playing. That was how this worked, is I didn't even play at the table the majority of the time. That way, they never were going to ask for my ID. And if anyone said, well, why aren't you playing? I'd say, this is her, gambling, allowance. I've already gambled mine away or something like that. So when they not only tell me I'm not welcome to play when I'm not playing, but they call me by name, it's like, oh crap, someone recognized me. And so I just want to get out of the casino and then call you and say, hey, cash out your chips, meet me, wherever. But then you come out of the bathroom right as I'm walking away, and you start calling out, Colin. And I did not want them putting us together because once you're burned.
Yeah, I get that. I think I'm trying to remember the time frame because I think what was going on in my mind, I think nowadays, like, yeah, we have our phones with us at all times, but it was like, I don't know if we didn't have our phones or I don't know.
I think we did.
It was like, if we get separated, we're in friggin' Vegas.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know where you were going and how were we going to meet up. And I was like in the dark. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. So, probably in hindsight, it would have been worth your ID being burned for you to not, to know what's going on. But
no, I was all for that. I just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. So that was a challenge.
Yeah, that was a challenge.
As far as successes, I can remember one other challenge. I remember being at Bellagio, and something had just ended. I don't remember what it was, if it was a show or like a fight had been on TV or there's something, but like some people come out from some event and these guys show up to a table. I want to say it was a $200 minimum table, and they're betting like $5,000 a hand. Just, it's like 2 guys. And they're just high-fiving and having fun, and I'm back counting that table because that's what you do. And we weren't even there to play. I think we were there to use a comp or to something, but I see that the count goes up and I'm like, jump in, and you wouldn't do it because they're betting so much money. You're like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not doing it. And just having been a card counter at the time for, I don't know, 5 years, is just the ethos is like, you've got a good shoe, you just jump in.
Well, even now thinking back on that, I think, oh man, shoot, that would have been great cover.
Exactly.
It's
Well, yeah,
perfect.
there's no way they're going to worry about you
Yeah.
betting,
No, I
what were
think
you
I
betting?
was intimidated at the time, but
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
I see that I would take that any day now.
Yeah. That was tough for me. I felt like as, part of the team, it was like, there's always another positive count. It's not like one shoe, would have really meant much in the grand scheme of things, but it felt we had this ethos of you don't walk away from a positive shoe.
Yeah.
That was just difficult because you hadn't been, kind of trained exactly for that. As far as successes, I mean, I felt like it worked overall remarkably well.
Yeah, I was trying to think of more any more challenges, and I think we did. I think there was never like these big conflicts of like either one of us wanting to get in some more hours and the other person like, no, I'm done. I think we were like, I'm getting kind of tired. Yeah, me too. Okay, let's be done, or let's get out there. I felt like we had similar motivation and energy, but I could see that being a challenge.
Yeah. Well,
And I was more motivated by comps than you were. You'd kind of been there, done that, or just it wasn't as much of an interest to you.
yeah, but I think that was some of the give and take. Like to get the comps, you had to generate a bunch of EV, and part of the it was fun. I remember that meal at Win was really enjoyable, or just some of the shows. One of the show that comes to mind wasn't that good, but there were other times. Even like bowling with my brother and
Yeah.
sister-in-law, getting in. It's not that big of a deal, but it was just fun.
Yeah.
And knowing that it was all on the casino's dime. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Dagobert Duck says, when Grace was the BP, was it an issue to put the big bets out and go with the swings since you went from zero to a huge bankroll spread?
I think we just kind of went over some of that at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, I remember your hands shaking. But you did it. You didn't put out half bets or anything. And there is something nice. I think that the code word told you what to bet. And you either did it or you didn't. I guess you didn't at Bellagio next to the $5,000 high rollers, but the rest of the time,
Yeah.
you did it. Did it get more comfortable after,
Yeah, I think like it seemed every subsequent trip. I think maybe it was always kind of the first session of like getting back into the groove of it. I think that was always a little bit of a challenge, or maybe not even a challenge, but it was. I just remember, like okay, just a little bit nervous of wanting to make sure that I played every hand.
Well, and I've told people,
Correctly.
I still get that, like the first 10, 15 minutes of a session, that kind of like butterflies, like, oh, what's going to happen? And then I feel like that works its way out and you just play. So Paradigm asks, how did Grace feel when she had heat on her? How did she feel about it after it passed?
Yeah, I think the butterflies too, but I'm sure every AP, well, no, I'm not sure, but I would think every AP kind of has that like, oh, everybody knows what I'm doing. Yeah, so I think stepping up to the table, I think I felt that a little bit, at least initially.
I feel like we didn't usually know when there was heat. I remember it's sometimes in Vegas, it can just come down real quick. Like we're playing and everything seems fine. And then all of a sudden there's like a suit right there.
Yeah, I like to think of myself as not being like scared or afraid in those moments, or I wouldn't say that was that was an issue for me. I think the only thing that bothered me about heat was, oh crap, we're not going to get any.
That's right. Yeah. Like,
We're not going to get any comps, and oh man, my time here being rated is done. I
Yeah.
think that was more the disappointment than just being like these suits coming up behind. And
yeah, I don't really fear the actual back off. It's more that, one less place
yeah.
to generate EV.
Well, and I think
consoled.
that time getting flyered, it was more of a disappointment.
It was frustrating.
Than anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going to we got backed off at MGM Grand, and then, I don't remember if it was the same night or the next night. We go one place, play a little bit, get backed off. Go to the next place. It's like even shorter, get backed off, and it's like great. Yeah, it's just frustrating, and every card counter has to deal with that. But I was going to say one thing that helped as the Gorilla BP. You're not counting. You're able to basically play and converse.
I could still interact with the dealers and pit bosses pretty well because all I'm doing is playing basic strategy.
And I think part of that, talking with the dealers, pit bosses, it meant you were focusing less on heat. I was maybe had my spidey senses up for all that, but it felt like there was no heat, and then all of a sudden
there was.
yeah, all of a sudden a back off or whatever. I don't remember any like close calls about let's get out of here. Maybe it happened. I just don't even remember. Paradigm also asked, did either of us struggle with seeing through the stigma of card counting being viewed as cheating or gambling when Colin first started? Did you have to struggle with seeing card counting as cheating or gambling, or we dealt a lot with other people viewing it that way?
Yeah. No. Nothing that I recall.
But a lot of other people.
Yes.
Maybe we talked more about that last time. Yeah, went through seasons of caring or not caring what other people thought.
Yeah, I think again it was your personality I knew wasn't like you didn't have the gambler in you. You were more based on numbers and the math and investing, and so I think I didn't have a fear of you gambling
It never gets fun when someone's like, "Isn't that illegal?" Or, "Oh, so you gamble?" Or that never gets fun. But I think you get a sense of confidence of, I trust it. I don't. Other people don't need to get it. That's like Freakonomics has this great podcast episode on how to change your mind, and basically what they've learned is that we think that we come to something unbiased, hear information, and then make up our minds based on it. But what they found is that's not at all true. We come to something already believing something, and then we get information, and we kind of filter if we're gonna believe that. So if someone comes at me and is like, "Oh, don't you think it's wrong to gamble?" I could try to say, well, we don't view it as gambling. We use software. We know exactly our risk and our return on investment. But usually they've already made up their mind. And you can't really get someone. The way that people actually can change their mind is if they're willing to empathize and try to argue the other side. And someone that is willing to do that, to say, "Oh, I wonder, is card counting investing? How would it be?" Then they're going to get it. Otherwise, they're just going to like have this mental block or cognitive dissonance.
And I would say cheating was never like even on my radar. It's not cheating. You're using your brain. When has that ever been cheating?
Yeah, that's the silliest argument. If you want to call it cheating, like that one, maybe I'll say, how is it cheating? Fortunately, we're allowed to use our brains in casinos, therefore it's not cheating. But all right, moving on. Nubs, hey Nubs. Nubs 1981 says, on your blackjack trips together, what did you do or see for fun as tourists instead of APs? So what are some favorite places to visit if we're in or around Vegas? What would you say?
Well, we've definitely done Red Rock a number of times.
Yeah, hiked it, taken pictures.
It is, I always forget almost every time. I think now that since our last trip, I realize it now. I think I've gotten it down. But you really have to be, it's like, oh, let's go to Red Rock. And then you go, you hike around, and then you have like another 20 to minute to half hour drive outside park.
Yeah.
I always forget about that part.
It's one way, and last time I think I drove the wrong way for
You
a
did.
while to get back to a vantage point that we missed.
Yeah. Yeah, so Red Rock, I remember there was a period of time we stayed with our kids for about a month.
Yeah.
And I was kind of determined just to, see some more historical things, or just take the kids
Like
around.
the chocolate museum?
Yeah, so we did that one
The
a few
historical
times.
places like the chocolate museum.
No, we did the dairy farm.
Oh, historical dairy farm.
It was one of, like, it started with a little horse and buggy kind of thing.
Well, I missed it, so
You did, so don't judge. Yeah, so the kids and I would go around and do fun things, different parks and stuff. But
I went to the M&M
you
thing
did.
with you guys.
I think of restaurants and some meals. Let's see, we did an escape room.
Yeah, we've done a few escape rooms in Vegas. Well, there's also Zion.
Yes.
So if you've got like a day, you can be there in what, 2.5 hours, 3 hours?
I forget how long.
Something like that.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, Zion. It feels like you're on another planet. So if you've got a day, you can drive up there, spend several hours and drive back, or if you've got overnight, you can just stay up there. But Zion is awesome.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, it's mostly casinos, so
yeah.
we hardly go to the Las Vegas Strip anymore. We're in Vegas a lot, but we'll hit our hot spots like Island Sushi or In-N-Out, or I don't know what else there is.
I think that's it. I mean, I just think back to some of our meals. I remember I hate the Palms, but we had an amazing meal there at one of their Asian restaurants.
Yeah, comped, yeah.
What else?
There's Fogo de Chao.
Oh yeah, that's
that
one
place
that
is
we
really
hit
good.
up.
You can do just this is a pro tip from Tommy Highland. You can do just the salad bar
and just get bacon.
Oh man, they've got some sort of maple brown sugar bacon, or I don't know what it is, but
it's good.
Oh man, yeah, really good. So maybe we're hungry. Let's move on. Johnny Mac says, Grace, what is it like for you when you and Colin are out in public and the groupies start flocking around? So which is ridiculous, but the reason why I left this question on there is because it reminds me of stories of crowds at casinos. Mm-hmm. I remember, so I can think of a few times. One was at Muckleshoot. There's like this infamous day where this was early-ish on. We were on, I don't know, maybe $100,000 bankroll, and I was playing there 3, 4, 5 days a week, and I had this day where I was playing there all day, and I just kept winning, but I wasn't even keeping track. I wasn't adding up my chips, but I just kept winning and winning and winning. And then you came and you met me for a comped dinner. Do you remember this?
Very vaguely.
And I right when you get there, I think I was back counting a table. It goes positive. I start playing, and this crowd of people, they're all telling you.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
What were they saying?
There's you should get him to back away, or like have him get up while he's up, or.
Yeah, they're all trying to convince you to get me to stop gambling.
That's right. I totally forgot about that.
When it was all said and done, I was up. I don't remember, something like $23,000, and
it was really awkward.
It was this weird folklore thing in the Seattle area because that was a lot of money for back then. It was before the church team, and it was it was probably one of those like 3 standard deviation wins, and then the next day I get backed off. But I remember all the people trying to tell you to get me to leave, and I also remember in Wyoming. Do you remember that? That was like
that little tiny
gas station casino. I think they have a real casino now, but back then it was like you walk through this hallway from slot machines into this one pit of like 4 tables, and
there's like construction going on around,
and so I played a bit. I got them to raise the table limits. I win something like I'll say 7,000, and I go to cash out, and the cashier is like, "I'm sorry, I've never seen this much money. We've got to get money out of the safe." And so what do we do while they're getting money? I go back and I start playing some more. And during that, a crowd appeared, and there's the same thing.
Yeah, trying to get me to convince you to back away from the table.
Yeah.
Degenerate gambler who won't stop losing.
Well, what was kind of sad
Who won't
is
stop winning.
I lost all of it back. And so they're like, "Get it. You can tell him to stop. You can tell him he needs to stop." And then I lose all the money back, and then I win it all back plus a little bit more. So I proved those guys wrong.
Yeah.
But
they were offering like to help me get you out of the casino.
Oh, it's really
So
sad.
crazy.
Yeah. But that's what made me think of the crowds in casinos, which right now I know casinos are reopening and they're not allowing crowds at the tables because they don't want people just standing around watching to try to socially distance. But it's definitely a thing. I never felt comfortable having much of a crowd watching just because I don't really want a bunch of people seeing the kind of money we had.
Well, and we don't see that, or you don't see that much, at least in Vegas. I mean, we were talking about Muckleshoot and Wyoming. I mean, those are little... Well, Muckleshoot is the biggest and best in the Northwest.
So. Okay, Dumonk says...
Their claim, not mine.
Dumonk says, "Hello, Grace. Have you guys ever had the cornflake French toast at Tulalip?"
I have not. We have eaten at Tulalip Bay quite a few times.
Not at all in the last 10 years.
But no, I have not had the cornflake French toast, and it sounds amazing.
So maybe you'll have to come out of retirement and we can get some comps at Tulalip. I did have a guy... we knew him from church, and then he's like a pastor now. And I saw him, and he's like, "Colin, I never forgot that meal that you gave us to Tulalip Bay." He and his wife went. We gave him a comp, and I guess they enjoyed like a $200 comp at Tulalip Bay. And I had forgotten that we'd done that because it was...
I don't remember that.
Could get one of those like every session back in the day, but I don't think we ever had breakfast there, and I
never ate at the buffet either.
No, we always just did the fine dining, or else I would do the little deli, and I'd get like a $5 pizza, and then fill up the rest of my comp with
juice,
with like all sorts, energy drinks and juices and waters, and bring them home
with cases.
So no, we haven't had that. Skipper 10, whose profile picture is the dude. So I'm going to read this question picturing Jeffrey Lebowski reading this to me. But he says, "What would be the right way to convince the significant other for team play? Just like you guys used to play. What would you say to the dude, Skipper 10?
What would be the right way to convince your significant well, dude, I don't know you or your significant other, so I can't give you like there is no one answer.
Well, I would say if you're trying to convince someone...
Whatever motivates them. Like, obviously, you hear me talking about awesome meals and shows. So, I know you can get... If your significant other is into nice clothes, casinos give out comps for boutiques and different things. Oh, spa treatments. There you go. Massage or facial. I don't know what motivates your significant other, but there's a lot of things out there that could be motivating.
I would caution you against trying to convince anyone they should do advantage play. When we started the church team, or even before the church team, we just thought this was the most amazing thing. And we couldn't believe anyone wouldn't want to do it. And so we tried to convince all of our friends to become card counters, because who wouldn't? And then you realize it really takes a special person to enjoy it, to do it well, and, very much stop trying to convince people to become card counters. If anything, later on in the church team, when someone said they were interested, we try to convince them not to. We'd say like, well, here are all the downsides. If someone's still interested after hearing all the downsides, well, okay, they might want to do it. But especially if it's a significant other, you don't want conflict. If you've tried to convince them and it's really a bad fit, you don't,
Yeah.
not worth it.
Well, and I think we talked about this last time, but I really enjoyed sitting at the tables with you.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how many hours I had spent sitting with you, and so I already knew what I would be getting into if I were to
Yeah.
do the same. So maybe that could be a start. I don't know if your significant other enjoys going with you, but if they don't enjoy going with you, it's going to be hard to.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. That say, hey, significant other, come watch, come to a session while I play at the casino and see what you think. And if they're like, oh, wow, actually, this is pretty fun, then you could consider a next step.
But I think it shows it's not just showing up at the casino and sitting down at a table and playing for hours. There's a lot of, like, if you're going to play the game right, there's a lot of standing, back counting, wonging in, wogging out.
Yeah.
And, so like actual playtime, if they don't really know what they're getting into and there is just a lot of standing around, going to the next place, anyway, so they need to know what they're getting into.
Yeah, I agree. All right, the man in black asks, what was life like for you guys before kids? Was starting a big family always the long-term plan, or did your feelings change at some point? How difficult is or was the balancing of family life and professional life? What was life like before kids?
Different.
Yeah, pretty different.
I don't even really know how to. I don't really know how to respond. I don't know if you have kids now, but obviously kids are big life changers.
Yeah, I think we kind of wonder what we did with our time before kids because there's a lot less time.
I think I got a lot less done, honestly,
Yeah.
before kids than I am able to get done now.
Yeah, they force you to step up your game.
Yeah, they do.
I remember always, not, I don't know about always, but before we got married, thinking like, oh yeah, 3 to 6 kids. I probably assumed it would be more on the 3 kids side, but we took it one at a time, one baby at a time.
We did. I would say my answer to that, did we always want a large family? And my answer would be no.
Yeah.
I remember at some point thinking like, I am the youngest of 3. And I remember thinking like, 3 is just kind of a weird number because you always have 2 on 1. But 4 is too even, and 5 is way too many. I just remember at one point feeling that. I think that was pre-kids. But
I think we're very fortunate to have, I've run my own business, and it's rare that I've worked over 20 hours a week that in the past 15 years, and that I'm home a lot.
yeah.
And so we always took it one kid at a time, but I remember having, 4 kids and being like, yeah, this is awesome. Let's have a 5th. And then having 5 kids and being like, yeah, this is awesome. Let's have a 6th. Then having a 6th and being like, we're done.
Yeah. I think, I honestly am hesitant in the ways to answer this question because there's so many opinions out there and just different, what people want or think is right or, but I will say, I think, when I got pregnant with, I think, our 3rd and 4th, it was really difficult. I think just emotionally it was difficult at the time. But the idea of not having any one of our children is a sad thought.
And then after having the 3rd, we adapted.
Yeah.
And
yeah, but I think that
more.
Initial,
getting pregnant
tough.
and being it was because first 4 kids. It was pretty close together there. So we were outnumbered, and it was there were some challenging couple of years, but it was never a regret of having them. It was just like, oh man, this is really overwhelming.
Yeah, it was. We had lots of little ones at one time.
So Grace, both of your parents are the youngest of 6. So neither of us came from a large family, but you come from a very large extended family.
Yeah, I do.
So that wasn't odd. It's not like it was probably more odd for me because I come from a pretty small family. But I think that we just have a really high value for kids and family. Where it's like a crap ton of work, but I don't know what other work we would be doing other than getting to raise and enjoy these 6 awesome kids. And I mean, don't take my word for it. Meet our kids and you'll say they're awesome. I don't like post them on Blackjack Apprenticeship or really talk about them because I don't think that's fair to them. But some of you guys haven't met them and you'd attest. You're glad we had each of them.
Or are they? Would they tell us otherwise?
Yeah, they might.
I was also going to say during this quarantine time, it is wonderful. I mean, for the most part. there definitely are still difficult days or times of the day, but they have each other to play with. Like, I can't imagine having 1 or 2 and you get sick of one and you don't have anybody else to go to.
Yeah.
But they have other siblings to go and play with. It's wonderful.
And we made a few good investments. At Christmas, our son bought the game Exploding Kittens.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah. So Joe 748, I think, introduced us to the game, and our son got it for the family at Christmas, and then we got the expansion pack. And then during this quarantine, we doubled down by getting Throw Burrito, and more recently, Bears versus Babies.
Yeah.
And so these are some like kind of ridiculous games,
Very ridiculous,
but
so fun.
A lot of hours, and even Grace and I will get in there and be chucking burritos at each other and at the kids.
Yeah, the kids love, you get to choose who gets to duel.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the kids choose you and I to duel.
Yeah, and I'm actually really bad at it, and I blame it on being a big target. I'm a much larger target than these.
You have much better aim than I do.
My aim's okay, but I don't think I'm very quick. Like, just check that burrito. Okay, let's move on. The man in black also asked what I think is the most important basic strategy for being a good husband and father. Well, that is deep. That's a tough one. I mean, gosh, some people say kids need quality time, and some people say they need quantity time, and I would say both. It's not easy, but to try to be present when I'm around the kids and to be around, I heard someone talking about even your kids seeing you like do your taxes or whatever, that they learn from that. I think one thing we've learned is that kids are learning by observation all the time. So in that sense, even like investing in yourself, like growing, I would say spiritually, but also emotionally, mentally, your kids are observing that and they're going to benefit from it. So, and also like being willing to sacrifice. Think of it as an investment. Every time you choose to not just like choose what you want over your family, you're investing in them. Investing is a sacrifice. You're choosing to not spend money to see a greater return over time. Well, it's the same, I think, with our families, to choose to not spend your time on yourself for that investment. It's like that song, Cats in the Cradle and the Silver Spoon, that the dad realizes, he always told his son he was going to make time for him, and then he never did. So there's my answer. Let's move on. Texman says, Grace the Gorilla. In the limited card carrying conversations I've had with anyone unfamiliar with the subject, I found it's best practice to not initiate the conversation. Always keep it in the front of my mind that my mission is not to convince them of the mathematical validity, but provide an opportunity to answer questions for someone who's willing to figure out the truth for themselves. So I think here's the question. A couple months back, I was explaining card counting to my in-laws and was absolutely ridiculed, but my wife jumped in to backroom them While they were pouncing on me, it was dreamy. Do you have any times where you felt offended at about someone's judgment or misconception about Colin's counting? Did you ever fire back an intense response in the course of defending your man's honor?
I like your story, and I like your question. I think maybe in the beginning I felt a lot more defensive. Nowadays, I wouldn't say I feel as quick to jump or pounce, because I most likely people who respond to it aggressively, I'm not going to convince them otherwise. But I will share one story somewhat recently. Maybe you've already told this story
I hope it's a story I was thinking of.
at the kids' school.
Yes.
So we were taking our son, he was going on a class trip, and I was there with other parents. And, I get the question from one of the other kids' moms, like, oh, so what does your husband do? And I think my go-to, at least for now, is like, well, it's a strange one. Just to, I'd say that initially, like it's weird, so brace yourself. And I tell her, and her husband is right there, and he said, well, that's cheating.
Yeah, you said, yeah, you explain. Oh,
I explained what he did.
He's a card counter.
He's a card, or he has a website training people how to count cards. And he says, that's illegal. And I was like, well, actually, it's frowned upon, but it's not illegal. No, it's illegal. And she said, his wife says, yeah, he used to be a dealer. And I chuckled inside, and was like, well, it isn't illegal. And, it was, to me, it's kind of comical now, I think, when the different comments that people make. So I wouldn't say I get aggressive and I feel like I have to defend him, but I am all for truth.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, you said, well, casinos can back you off for it, but it's not illegal. And then he kind of relented. He said, okay, well, it's not illegal.
Yeah, it did. You're right. I'm glad you remember it better than I do, but I don't think he was still fully convinced.
Yeah, but you defended your man's honor.
I did.
As taxman. Wife did. And yeah, he gets to that point, like, if people are curious, they'll ask questions. If they've already made up their mind and they're judging you, just move on with your life. And
with your in-laws, it's a little harder to move on with your life, but
yeah, that's true. That's a really tough one. And I've told people, they'll ask me, how do I, my so-and-so, my family is concerned. And I say, well, you could show them Holy Rollers, which is the documentary about the church team, simply because it shows real people doing it, and a real blackjack team and what it's like, and it explains a lot of those questions where you're not defending it. It's just, well, watch the documentary and see what you think. Or people could watch Inside the Edge and see it in a way that kind of empathizes with card counters that we're playing the game they offer with our brains and getting, like, sometimes treated poorly for playing smart. All right. Splitting Snowmen. And I'll say this. Splitting Snowmen, you get the award for the most impossible to answer questions. There's two of them, and I don't really know how to answer them, but we're going to see what happens here. He says, if Grace said, here's $1 million bankroll, and I want you to double it before you come back home, what would be my approach to the game? And she is serious. Well, so this is, I guess, a question for me. First off, Grace would never say that. I don't think she's ever implied that I need to make more money or work more.
No.
But
no, you know what? Recently, I have tried to encourage you to get out and play a little bit.
Yeah, but not for the money.
No.
Just because you want to get me out of the house.
No, it's not even that. It's just get out and play.
Yeah, it's good. It's really hard for me to say, hey, let me leave my family to go play blackjack when I don't need to, when I don't need the money. But it actually, I enjoy going on a couple trips a year to really know what it's like out there, and to honestly, I've had some of my best ideas for training people or ways to generate more EV just from getting out there and playing a little bit. I've had some kind of like game changing ideas. So yeah, you've been supportive of that.
I have a feeling this question is less about me,
Yeah.
though, and more about, hey, Colin,
How would
you,
I double a
how
million
would
dollar
you,
bankroll?
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. How would I double $1 million bankroll? I mean, first, I would legally change my name. Second, I would probably delete the Blackjack Apprenticeship YouTube channel and remove my image from anywhere on the internet that I could. So with those, I would have a better chance at not being, because I still can play, but I'm not playing, two spots of $3,000 or whatever. Next, I would just hit the road, and not just the road in the U.S. I'd probably just say I'm going to play. I'd pull the Yoshi or Joe 748 approach, and I would go from casino to casino playing whatever limits I felt like I could, or I guess the Casey approach. Maybe I'd get some sprinter van that I could sleep in or whatever, and but I would never do that because my family's more important than money. But that would be my approach. I would probably also try to learn as many forms of advantage play as I could. If my goal is to get to $1 million as quickly as possible, card counting would be my default. But like Richard Munchkin says, you don't want to have tunnel vision. You want to walk into a casino and see every opportunity that's in there. So I would brush up on some other skills for sure. I would network as well as I possibly could, and I would just play relentlessly. That's what I would do. His second question, also for me, is what's the distribution of success from card counters you've trained? Some possible categories would be X% went broke, X% ended up broke, and in Gamblers Anonymous, X% broke even over time and had great experiences. X% ground out some pocket money, X% made a decent living, and X% retired from money. Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't know. I send out a survey usually every year that to our members, just asking like, what were your results? And it's completely anonymous, just so that I have a feel for who our group is. But the distribution curve is, in the 3 positive standard deviations. I can think of a few $1 million card counters, like less than 10. And there's going to be a large group of people that maybe didn't even finish their training. There's a higher percentage of people that have been to a boot camp. It's just, I think that's more serious people, but definitely not every person that goes to a boot camp ends up finishing their training. As far as end up in Gamblers Anonymous, yeah, there's probably those, because I get emails. I mean, I got a horrible one last week. Some guy, he looked really young, and he just reached out to me through social media, said that he'd gambled all his money away, was in debt, and living in his car. And he was asking me for advice. And my advice was get into Gamblers Anonymous or get into counseling for an addictive compulsion. That's like the only advice I have. I try to give him some hope. I said, you can put your life back together, but you got to get some help. So there are those people, but he's not a member. He's not someone I've trained. He's, I just get these emails, and I'm always really honest with people. If they need help, like the solution isn't card counting. The solution is dealing with the addiction and figuring out why you're acting compulsively with gambling. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably a pretty normal distribution curve, where in the middle there are the people that get to a point where they're playing a break-even game, but then on both sides are people that some winners, some people that did not train well enough to become winners, some very successful people, and probably some very unsuccessful people. But I probably don't hear as much from them. And it's not in my opinion, it's not the training. It's that they didn't do the training. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Bob BD says, Grace, is the buffalo wing recipe yours or Colin's? And do you like them as much as Colin?
It is Colin's recipe. Colin has his few go-to recipes, and that is his.
Yeah, I've got a couple other recipes that I'm holding back for you guys for if I do another YouTube live for our members. So I've got 2 other ones to share with you guys, but that was just for fun. I thought I'd share my buffalo wing recipe. Do you like them as much as I do?
I would say I do.
It's not possible because I like.
Is that
No.
a challenge?
No, I'm just kidding. It's a family favorite. The kids
It
don't have
is.
they don't use the hot sauce like the Franks or the
No,
fire on the
they
mountain
do. They like
sauce.
to
A little bit.
mix it with the blue cheese.
Okay.
Get a little bit of spice, but no, I love it. And in fact, just a couple days ago, I was like, "Oh, what if we had your buffalo wings?" And you were like, "No, we can't have it too much, or else we'll get sick of it." And I do agree. It's hard to imagine getting sick of it, but it's one of those like, oh, special things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So yes,
but Grace
it
is
is Colin's, and yes, I do like it as much as.
Grace is the much better cook. She makes the majority of the meals, and I've got like a couple things that I feel like I can make well, and Grace has
And
dozens
maybe
of things
this
she makes
probably
well.
isn't a surprise to any of you because Colin likes his numbers, and so, but he's a recipe follower,
That's right.
and I am not so much of a recipe.
No, but you're a much better cook. His follow-up question is: do either of us play a musical instrument? Do you play?
I will say no.
Okay, you
I dabble
dabble in piano.
occasionally.
Yeah, I play a bunch of instruments. That was what I was really into. I mean, from 14
Colin was a
on.
rock star.
I don't know, not star. I've played different instruments. I have played guitar, bass, or drums in front of audiences. I would say each of those instruments in front of audiences of at least maybe 500 people. But I would say I'm now someone that used to play guitar well. I used to
He
play
played piano as well.
Yeah, I had to take piano lessons forever. Okay, who cares about this? Let's move on to more interesting things. Jack, this is our last question. We'll wrap this up. Jack says, I'd like to hear more conversations on things in general. It doesn't need to be blackjack or AP related. Could be things like UFOs, Bigfoot, Egyptian and Mayan pyramids, any good formative or travel stories, even stories from the field. You guys are just fun to listen to. Well, thank you, Jack.
Well, we were just talking about buffalo wings
Yeah.
and musical instruments.
Do you believe in UFOs?
I do not.
Okay. Do you believe in Bigfoot?
I do not, but I know people. I know people that actually do.
Do you believe in card counting?
What is this you say about card counting?
Yeah, this might have to be another podcast. But
Travel stories? We have some fun travel stories. We've been able to. That was my one thing. When I was asked, Grace, what do you want to do or be when you grow up? I'd say, I want to travel. And we have been able to travel.
we have. We went to Europe for a friend's wedding when our firstborn, he was like 2 months old. So I got this little baby strapped to you, and we had a blast. We went for a couple weeks. We went with Ben and Cammie, and we went to the wedding in northern Italy, and we went around Austria and Italy with this little baby.
Even the wedding was our friend who was from Austria was marrying an Italian. And it was, the ceremony was translated from, was it German? Like she even had like German.
Well, because in Austria, so it was translated from Italian to German to English.
Yes, it was
For us, it was
for us, just the four of us Americans who were there. I think.
We've traveled. We've been to Costa Rica together. We've been to Israel,
Guatemala.
Yeah, Guatemala. My parents lived there for a number of years. Been to Mexico, Canada, and then we did a road trip, a blackjack road trip. When you were pregnant with our first, we flew to the East Coast and spent like a month driving back to Seattle and played a whole bunch of blackjack. I played, and you sat at the table next to me, and we visited friends all along the way. We camped in Yellowstone. We've camped in Yosemite. And even with kids, we do more road trips than flying because that's a little easier. But we actually still do want to do a bit of travel. We've talked about going to Europe for 6 months and just kind of homeschooling the kids for that time. And I'd run blackjack apprenticeship from there or whatever. So we don't think we're done with our traveling. And played some funny blackjack games. Played a 22 game in Austria that I'm sure I didn't have an edge at. But Ben and I played it for like 10 minutes.
And you had to like get a coat or
that was a different
code.
Yeah, so that was not that was a different casino. That wasn't 22. But yeah, we had to wear coats to go into the casino. Played in Costa Rica at a kind of like hole in the wall game. Played up in Canada. So yeah, we've done some travel. We've done some international blackjack. Not much. I'm no vagabond, like generating EV all over the world, but traveling's a lot of fun. We have not seen any UFOs on our travel. We have yet to see Egyptian or Mayan pyramids, though I would love to.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. So there you
I
go.
like that question.
Yep. Alrighty, we are over an hour in. We're going to wrap this up. I hope this isn't too boring for you guys, but gives you a little bit of spotlight into the Gorilla BP stuff. And if there's any questions that we didn't answer fully or follow-up questions, feel free to ask in the forum where I'll post the link to this podcast. And if you're not a member, well, you should probably become a member to Blackjack Apprenticeship so that you can ask me questions in the forum so you can get the very best video course out there, training drills, betting software, casino database, members only podcasts, and I don't know what else I'm forgetting. What do you think? Yeah?
Yeah, they totally should.
They totally should. All right. Take care, guys. I know casinos are starting to open back up, so you guys can start generating EV again if you feel safe. Otherwise, stay safe at home, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
All right. See you later.